This is Con Carne. I'm James Van Ostel, and this podcast is presented by Alex Ross Art. Alex Ross is a legend. He is an icon in the world of comics and graphic novels. His photorealistic ways of depicting your favorite characters from DC and Marvel are the stuff of legend. And of course, with San Diego Comic-Con happening this week in San Diego, Alex Ross Art will be there. Stop by, booth 2415. Check out all the stuff that Alex has been working on, past, present, and what's coming next. And if you can't make it to San Diego, well, just hop online, alexrossart.com.
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Ostel.
So today I am in the headquarters of Delmark Records. This is a real thrill for me. Delmark Records celebrating its 70th anniversary. Delmark is the oldest independent jazz and blues label in the world. Joining me inside Delmark, I have the president and CEO of Delmark. I have Julia A. Miller. Julia, thank you for the hospitality, welcoming me into the world of Delmark for this.
Thank you for being here.
This is so cool. There's so much history in these walls, so much music to talk about.
600 releases.
600 releases from 1953 to today.
That's correct. Yep. We have more than 600 titles, approximately 600 titles in the catalog in many variants.
Can you broadly give me some history?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Delmark was founded in 1953 by Bob Kester, as Delmar in St. Louis, and he moved the label to Chicago in 1958 with his family and his wife, Sue Kester. They moved the label and started a record store, famously the Jazz Record Mart, beloved record store.
Everyone loved the Jazz Record Mart.
Yes, on 7 West Grand.
Mm-hmm.
And had several locations, eventually from 7 West Grand to Lincoln Square, which is north side of Chicago. And then we're at this warehouse we're sitting in now, where we have the label and the studio, and they moved here in around 1991, Bob Kester partnered with Paul Serrano and PS Studios, to put his own studio in this location.
Now, before we started talking, you took me into the studio.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of cool, old-looking stuff. I didn't know exactly what I was looking at or what the history was. Like, what was I looking at?
Well, Paul Serrano was a producer for Chess, the original Chess records, and he had his own studio as well, PS. He purchased some of the equipment from Chess when it went out of business, so we have the original B3, we have some of the outboard gear, and we have much of the original equipment from PS as well, from Paul's studio, which closed in 1990, I believe, and then he moved all the equipment here to start in a partnership with Bob in this location.
I mean, I realize you're president and CEO of this label, but do you ever walk in and say, "Oh man, this is cool"?
Every day. It's a lot of work,
of course,
but it's okay. It's cool. It is cool, definitely.
So 70 years, the 70th Anniversary Blues Anthology. This is a fantastic collection. We were talking before we started recording this. There is something so timeless to these songs. They sound cool and contemporary in 2023. And I thought we could talk about some of the songs that made the compilation.
Sure.
Well, first I've got to ask you, how do you narrow down 70 years to 10 songs?
Well, that's a very good question. So we were discussing I am the president, as you mentioned, of Delmark, but Albio Barilari is the artistic director, and he is in great part responsible for choosing, but also organizing, and he had a great deal of input into this compilation. So we were discussing this, what direction we would go, which songs we would choose, because now there are more than 12,000 tracks to choose from. So it's a lot. We wanted to choose timeless tracks which were important on all levels to blues history, but are also tracks that young people and audiences should know. That's
what I was going to say. This is a great gateway to all this great blues music.
Yeah. They're important. They're great songs that everybody knows and loves and are the most important, or not the only, but very important, but they're also artists and songs that people should know. And one of the and that we love.
Yes.
And one of the main goals with the label that we have is giving respect and recognition to people who are with us and people that should have respect. So a person on this compilation, for example, there are many wonderful people, but a person that we worked with very closely before he passed very recently was Jimmy Johnson.
Sure.
And we also have many new releases on the label. For example, 92-year-old Bob Stroger with the Headcutters. We're working with Jimmy Burns and Soul Message Band, which is a wonderful organ trio. So we work with these legendary musicians and try to elevate them and build upon all the wonderful things that they have done and are doing, and all the wonderful music that they've created, and make new music with them.
So the compilation is Delmark Records' 70th Anniversary Blues Anthology. You mentioned Jimmy Johnson. That's the last track on the comp, Ashes in My Ashtray. This to me sounds like what modern blues is. This sounds kind of like the Rosetta Stone for what blues sounds like in 2023.
Well, he was a master, and he was a very unique guitarist, and he electric blues guitarist, but also he was very technological. He would often use like a MIDI bass drum pedal and use different tunings and play chords that were very unique and different styles, different genres and adaptations of blues that were his own. When we made the record with Jimmy, the last record that he did before which was with Delmark, it was produced by Albio Barilari, and we used two rhythm sections. So one was a blues rhythm section, his band, and another one was more of a jazz rhythm section to sort of stretch and go into styles and grooves and harmonies that he wanted to explore.
So we mentioned the fact that this is a great introductory, great gateway to blues music. I think it scratches the itch for fans, but I definitely think this comp kind of works as the blues album for people who think they don't like the blues or think that the blues is unapproachable. This is really a great welcome aboard. Here's what it is.
I don't know anybody who thinks the blues is unapproachable. I mean, the blues is the most approachable music, and it's a bunch of great people and family-oriented people and a great vibe. I mean, you got to love it. You got to go out and dance and participate. It's all good. It's a great energy.
One thing I'm a sucker for, no matter what the genre, is horns. Let's talk about the Otis Rush song on this album.
Mm-hmm.
It's All Your Love, I Miss Loving.
Mm-hmm.
The horns on this. Delmark got hold of Otis in the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
I mean, long career, multiple labels, storied history with Otis Rush.
Yeah, he started on Cobra, of course, early on. He was a Chicago legend, performed many clubs in Chicago. I saw Otis at the Wise Fools. I know that he performed there a lot. And we came in just as there was a memorial concert for Otis. So we unfortunately didn't get to work with Otis Rush as we would have liked to, because actually one of my favorite records, and the record that introduced me personally as a student to Delmark, was Cold Day in Hell. That was my first Delmark record.
Another late artist on this compilation. Delmark reissued Dinah Washington in 1992. Queen of the Blues, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
Blues for a Day. Again, thinking of horns, the sax and the piano on this
Yeah.
one. It's a sexy, playful, cool song. And again, timeless.
Well, it's interesting too on this record. You have Charles Mingus on the bass, and Milt Jackson on vibes. It's a huge band. It's an interesting thing because it was also, I believe, an LA band, and recorded because they were out there on the West Coast. So a really different thing. Blues for a Day. It's people. I get the response that sometimes that, well, that's not. It's not like a blues shouter. It's not like a traditional blues, but it's a really important blues. She was a really important blues voice, and there are many different types of course, blues, female voice and male voice, and this track in particular is something I'm really proud to have on the compilation.
It's so cool that it's on here. But speaking of voices coming from different backgrounds, Big Time Sarah, here's someone who had a gospel background going into the blues.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of. I think the church was important to many female vocalists. I think how people came up in the church or they didn't, but definitely. The church provided and provides a structure in the Black community, which was really, really crucial and necessary and really valued, and touched Black musicians in all kinds of ways. And also, many female musicians did not have as many opportunities to perform. Now, Big Time Sarah was a kind of famously club oriented, of course, but there are many other people who got their start or got opportunities in the church because they weren't able to have as many in other places.
Speaking of the church, Little Walter with Muddy Waters. I Just Keep Loving Her, another track on the 70th anniversary compilation. The production notes on file at Delmark Archives say that the sessions took place in a church or a warehouse on the south side of Chicago. Either one, man, to be a fly on the wall there.
Well, we looked for the location and we researched it. We have a couple of possible locations and we really tried to determine exactly which one it was. And we just couldn't definitively say. And so that's why it says one or the other. We know we know a couple of possible ones, but we just couldn't pin down exactly which.
And Little Walter, also Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. The only specific harmonica player in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Plenty of people play the harp, but he was inducted as specifically a harmonica player.
Yeah, well, he's a legendary harmonica player. Also recently inducted into the Blues Foundation Blues Hall of Fame, inducted by Steve Berkowitz, a legendary producer and music guy. And Little Walter and Muddy Waters, this partnership. I mean, Muddy was, a legend in his own right. For sure. Memphis Slim with Matt Guitar Murphy, Memphis Slim USA, recorded in 1954. One of the great pianists. Just so much great stuff in here. It's available on vinyl. It is.
And you can stream it, of course. But to have and hold, I mean, Delmark's a label that was made for liner notes. Like, you put out a record like this, I want to read all about it.
Yep.
I want to become a historian and dig into this.
Well, and there's so much that we are going to be putting out, and so much archival material. There are books and books and books. I'm scanning promo material and archives and letters and things all the time, and finding. I think it's an amazing project, but a historical, one of the most important tracks on this anthology is of course the lead off track.
Yeah, I was working backwards, I
Oh,
guess.
sorry.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Junior Wells with Buddy Guy, Snatch It Back and Hold It, a song that sounds just as cool today as it did when it was recorded in 1965. Oh my God, this is as good as it gets.
Well, everybody says it's a desert island disc. Buddy Guy, the friendly chap originally, on early versions. So Hootie Man Blues is credited as the first album-length blues release. It was a singles market at that time. And so this is something that really captured a longer set of blues songs, all in one side or two or the other, not just a short snippet just to dance to. Also on the deluxe version, there's studio chatter. There's really interesting, interesting extra tracks. So,
how hard is it to dig through the archives? Do you have everything pretty well together, or is it a little bit of an expedition?
Well, I've just been discussing that actually. We have gone from 1,000 tracks to 12,000 tracks in the last 5 years. We definitely have a list and a sense of of what the masters are. We have a lot of transferring to do, and there is with in terms of high res transferring, we know that we're going to uncover treasures as we go.
Sure. So
it's a big job when you have that many to go through, and multiple reels for each.
Right, of course.
Each release, of course.
So 1953, the roots of Delmark were planted. Here we are 70 years later. The compilation is available, or almost available as we're recording this. 70th Anniversary Blues Anthology. I guess, what are you going to do heading into year 71? I know you've got a roster of active artists ready to roll.
Yes, we do. We are working on a jazz compilation. We also have a jazz trio LP that's coming. We need to finish mixing some live recordings, one for Willie Buck. We need to work on some kind of new LP for Mike Wheeler. But we also have plenty of new projects. We have a new reel-to-reel project, which will be reel-to-reel LP and CD with Johnny Iguana, solo piano. Mm-hmm. And we have, did I mention the jazz compilation LP? I think I did.
I think you did.
Yeah. Those are, we have also the new project with Jimmy Burns and the Soul Message Band that I mentioned before. Also, we have a very important.
You're keeping busy.
We are keeping busy. We have a partnership which we're very proud of with Billy Boy Arnold, legendary Billy Boy Arnold. So this is a partnership with him for release of historical unreleased recordings. So, and also hopefully a new album dependent on his health. But we're working right now on using AI to demix mono recordings and create stems of those so we can remix them. And these are unreleased tracks from 1949.
Oh, man.
And the early 60s. With his blessing, obviously, we're working with him on them.
What a cool project.
Yeah.
What a cool project.
So historical unreleased tracks with Billy Boy.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so for someone who wants to dive in to the catalog, what's the best online location to start digging into the Delmark history?
Delmark.com.
That does it. Delmark.com. And we can get a copy of the record, the compilation there?
As of July 21st.
As of July 21st. We're almost there as we're recording this.
Yep.
Congratulations on 70 years. Congratulations on where things are at now. It seems like it's just all exciting at this point.
Thank you. Thank you very much.